Hi, I'm Richard Bevan. I'm co-founder of the Happiness Academy and author of the book Happiness Realised. So today I'm going to share a little bit of information with you around why people don't choose to be happy, the reasons that they stop themselves. So it's my firm belief that as human beings, our default position is one of happiness. So if you think about a little baby, it's perfectly content until it hits a problem. If it's hungry, or if it's done something in its nappy, or if it needs winding, only then does it become distressed and cry. But once that problem's fixed, it returns straight back to being happy again. And I also believe that should be exactly the same for us adults. But for so many of us, that isn't the case. And we have a baseline emotion of something different, be it sadness, anger, frustration, guilt. So let's explore why people aren't choosing to be happy. Now, I believe there's 10 reasons why people don't choose to be happy. However, in this video, let's just focus on 3 of them. Let's look at the first reason. Firstly, I think when we compare ourselves to others, we are never really looking at all the full facts. Let's face it, if we're looking at somebody's great Facebook post or their Instagram picture, that's not the full context of what's going on. I've witnessed people on a night out spending hours trying to get the right picture in the right pose in the right location, totally oblivious to what's actually going on around them and not engaging with anybody just so they can get that great shot. And then we compare ourselves to that. So really it's out of context and it doesn't do ourselves any favours to do that comparison. Equally, if you think about it, when somebody compiles their CV or creates their online dating profile, rarely do they share all of the facts. They will exclude things that they don't want you to know, or they will embellish things where they try and make themselves sound better. So when we're making those comparisons between ourselves and the slither of what we're seeing from the other person, we haven't got the full context. We see our good sides, we see our bad sides. We're only seeing the slither that they want to present. So actually, comparisons to other people will never serve you. Second reason, when making comparisons to others, we're not getting the full context. So whilst we might admire somebody as being a great singer or an amazing sports person, what we're not seeing is they could be a terrible spouse or an awful parent. Equally, somebody who's driving around in a top of the range car or has got wonderful watches may not own a house. Again, we're only seeing a slither of what's really going on. So to compare ourselves to that is only going to lead to misery. So whilst I think it's fine to see characteristics or abilities in others that you admire and you wish to aspire to, the race should always be with yourself. Look to improve yourself on a daily basis and transform into the person you want to be, rather than focusing on trying to play catch up with somebody else when you're not even seeing all of that person. Okay, let's look at the second reason why people aren't choosing to be happy. And this is because they're trying to control things. They're trying to control everything, including the future. So here's the deal with this one. Nobody can control the future, and to attempt to do so will lead to a journey of frustration, disappointment, and unhappiness. Many millions of things are happening in your world at any one time. It's highly unlikely you could even control a couple of these, and you've got absolutely no chance of controlling all of them. In fact, it would probably take you the rest of your life to count to 1,000,000, let alone try and control 1,000,000 things. It is, however, possible to influence the future, which is what we should all be aiming to do. This can be achieved through a combination of setting goals, removing duality within yourself, and taking continued and consistent action. Nothing in nature flows in a straight line, and your life will be no different. You'll not always experience continual success. There will be failures and mistakes, and these are extremely important to you. If you were able to control the future, it's very unlikely that you would choose to have these failures and mistakes, which would basically be doing yourself a major injustice. I have a view, the greater the depths of despair that one sinks to, the faster the potential acceleration back up can be. For me, it's like a slingshot. The harder you pull back, the further the rubber object's going to fly. Okay, let's look at the third reason why people aren't choosing to be happy. And I think that's because there's a lot of self-loathing going on instead of self-awareness. Look, nobody's perfect, and nor will they ever be. If they were, all the triumphs and successes and achievements would be meaningless, because there would be no room left to grow and develop, as they'd already have perfection. Like any aspect of nature, which obviously humanity and people are part of, if it isn't growing, then it's dying. There are no in-between states. If we're going to continue growing, there will undoubtedly be things that you're no good at. Things that you are struggling to grasp, fears that you've yet to overcome, or achievements that are evading you. And that's all fine. If I consider myself, there are some things I think I'm good at, some things I'd even say I'm expert at, but other things that I'm just plain old useless at. And that would include things like practical skills in my hands, decorating, maintaining a car, anything like that. The trick with self-awareness rather than self-loathing is to work out the things that matter to you. These are the only ones of any consequence. It doesn't matter if your partner thinks you should be good at something, or even if your parents want you to have a specific career, or even if all your peers are good at something. If it doesn't matter to you, then don't give it any time and attention. So once you've worked out what does matter to you and where you want to invest your time and attention, then you're going to have to put some effort in to become good at it. So to become really good at something, it usually requires a mixture of natural ability and lots of focused effort. So whilst I am no good with practical hand skills, that's not something I beat myself up about. Basically, I can admire somebody who's got skills in those areas and appreciate there's something that's been well made, but I know it's not something I want to spend my time and attention on. Therefore, I just let it go and I focus on the things that are important to me. So rather than worrying about the things that you aren't good at, why don't you spend some time listening to yourself, trying to work out what it is that you do want to be good at? What skills and abilities do you want? And you can also take that whole principle and apply it to characteristics of yourself. How do you want to be as a person? What are the things you want to improve at as a person? Once you've worked out what it is you do want, then let's set about improving ourselves in that area. And don't worry that something may go wrong in the first instance. Think about when you learnt to walk. You would have fallen over probably a good couple of thousand times before you mastered the art. So whatever it is you want, always remember, persistence will overcome resistance, even in yourself. And just applaud yourself for being self-aware and knowing what it is that you do want. Okay, so we've looked at 3 reasons why people aren't choosing to be happy. So why not set ourselves some exercises? So firstly, I want you to think about comparisons. Think about 3 people that you spend a lot of time comparing yourself to, and write down just one attribute each of them has that you would like to see yourself improve at. Okay, when we think about controlling things, including the future, what I'd like you to do is identify one area in your life where you're going to stop trying to control the future. And also identify one area in your life where you're going to start trying to influence the future. And finally, let's have an exercise for becoming self-aware rather than self-loathing. So what I'd like you to do is identify one skill that you're going to invest effort and time in improving at to the exclusion of other things, and equally I want you to think of one quality about yourself that you're going to work on improving to the exclusion of other qualities. Thanks very much for listening. Feel free to drop comments below with any questions or feedback you've got from the exercises, and thank you very much.